Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It is Arlecchino King of Cards, and as you can see, we are doing a meta tier list post Duelist Advance today. So we got a lot of new cards for a lot of new decks, so we're going to be going over all of them and just seeing what I think. Basically, obviously, take this tier list with a grain of salt. It's largely based on opinion. Obviously, it's based on facts and tier lists as well, but this is based on cards that we haven't actually got yet, so we're not sure of how they're going to do in the meta. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tiers. I've got Absolute Meta, which is the absolutely going to win a tournament. We've got Tier 1, which is the decks that you see in the top a lot of the time. Tier 2 is the decks that you might not see as much, but are still there. For example, Fire King, we'll get into that in a bit. Strong Contenders are those decks that aren't necessarily tiered decks, but people could take to a tournament and do well. Rogue is rogue decks you could take to locals and win with. Good Pilot is a deck that could win locals, but isn't probably going to go further than that, and is only going to win locals with a good pilot. And Go Home is self-explanatory, I think. So without further ado, let's get into the actual tier list part of this tier list, shall we? So first we got the new Utopia deck. Now the new Utopia cards are super strong. They got loads of searches. Onomat is in a better place than it ever has been. Now this is just pure Utopia on its own. Obviously Utopia Ryziel I might put decently high, but Utopia just on its own I think I'm going to put in tier 2, purely because it hasn't got as strong of an end board as say Utopia Ryziel does. However, Utopia is a brilliant engine this format, and I do think that the new cards are definitely worth picking up. If you haven't seen them, the card on the front of Utopia Duelist Advance is the new Utopia boss monster. Is super strong. It's a rank 0, and I just think that the new cards are really healthy for the deck, and that I'm really happy with it, honestly. So yeah, that's why I was sticking it in tier 2. Next we got the Archmage deck. Now the Archmage cards are really interesting. They all seem to do a lot, but I don't quite know if they all do enough, to be honest. You know, like, I think they all do a decent amount, but they could do with an expansion. That being said, they do have a lot of searches, a lot of special summons, and a lot of big boss monsters, so I think I am going to stick them in tier 1 for now. Next we have the new Dragon Lord cards. Honestly, super strong deck at the moment. It's got loads of really lovely, good support. I'm really happy with all the new stuff it's got. It's got new searches, it's got new boss monsters. It's in a really great spot. But I think I am going to put it in tier 2 just behind the Utopia, because the Utopia stuff is that much stronger. Now we've got Pearly. Pearly have always been a strong deck. I mean, at the moment they're not that strong because of the too sleepy, too delicious, which is a shame because I do love Pearly. Go check out my Pearly deck list if you haven't already. But I think that Pearly, unfortunately, is going to have to be put in Rogue at the moment. It doesn't put enough on the end board. The Noir is brilliant, but other decks have so many ways of outing that, so many hand traps to stop you getting to your Noir, so I don't think it's strong enough at the moment, and unfortunately that is why I'm putting it in Rogue. Obviously, if Sleepy and Delicious came back to 3, I think that would very much change, because you'd see a lot more consistency, you'd see all the old combos come back, you'd basically be guaranteed your combos off of my friend Pearly. So I do think if this got support, it could be bumped up maybe to tier 2, tier 1, but that has yet to be seen, unfortunately. Lunalight is in a really strong spot post Duelist Advance. We've got a lot of new cards. There's 2 new monsters in the main deck that search things. There's a new boss monster that is a quick effect Raigeki like Prank Kid's Battle Butler, except it doesn't tribute itself for cost, so that's super strong. And they've got a new battle phase thing. So altogether, Lunalight is really strong, really consistent, and could definitely be going back to absolute meta. And I think that because of the fact that they unbanned Leo, or Unlimited Leo, last ban list, I think that this deck is definitely going to see a comeback with the new cards. So maybe check out on that on the price watch. Make sure you pick up those cards off release, because I'm sure they'll shoot up in price. But yeah, that's the first deck I'm sticking in absolute meta. Now we're on to Mitsurugi, and this is pure Mitsurugi on its own, not Mitsurugi Ryziel. I do think that Mitsurugi on its own is absolute meta. Probably just above the new Lunalight stuff, purely because we know what the Mitsurugi cards do, but we don't know what the Lunalight stuff does yet. The new Mitsurugi cards are amazing. They can do basically everything for the deck. The deck's super consistent, doesn't suffer to most hand traps, and it sets up an amazing end board on its own, which is why I've included the pure variant over the Mitsurugi Ryziel. I want to focus on what the archetype itself can do on its own, rather than what it can do when aided by the better engine. So yeah, I am going to put pure Mitsurugi in absolute meta, and I think that that is going to stay the same until we potentially see the new format with K9 and Yummy and the new Vanquish Soul support, which I will get into in a bit. Next we have Argo Stars. I really love Argo Stars as a deck, but unfortunately, if you're not running them with the Odeon stuff, they just do not do enough. The new Xyz monster, on the other hand, is phenomenal for the deck. It basically sets 3 traps from the deck, but I am going to put it in good pilot because ashing the Adra or negating the Adra in any way, shape or form, you can't ash it, sorry, it's Imperm or Effect Veiler, basically stops the deck in its tracks, and I don't think that that's what you need out of a good deck. I think if you resolve your Adra, it's definitely in Rogue tier or maybe Strong Contender even, because it can be that strong. However, most of the time your opponent's going to have some sense, going to stop your Adra, and you're going to end up passing on Adra and nothing else. So for that reason, I'm sticking Argo Stars in good pilot. In regards to Live Twin, I do think that the new deck is brilliant, like with the Kisi Kill Deal. This is Live Twin Fiendsmith, obviously. Kisi Kill Deal is super strong for the cards. It really gets your combo started, but it's also a perfect bridge straight into your Fiendsmith plays into Requiem, as it's a light fiend. So I do think it's super healthy for the deck, and I think it's exactly what the deck needed. That is why I'm putting this deck straight into Tier 1. Honestly, I might even put it higher than Artmagia just because we know what the Fiendsmith cards do. We know how well they perform, and we've seen it time and time again that the Fiendsmith cards are exactly what decks need to pick them up off the ground. Next, I'm going to go over to Fire King. Fire King has a lot of weird tops. Like, what I mean by that is Dinkabui won Yu-Gi-Oh! YCS. I was there, brilliant event. Did not expect Fire King to win. We absolutely expected either Malice or Ryzeal to win, and that's how it should be. You know, Fire King is not that amazing on its own. I think that it really comes down to the person piloting it, and when you've got someone like Dinkabui, who also managed to win a YCS with Prank Kids back in the day, I think that the pilot is what makes the difference, not the deck itself. So for that reason, I am going to put Strong Contender for Fire King. I think it's super hard to do well with Fire King. I think you properly have to be invested in the game, know how to play the game properly, and I think that's what makes a Fire King player good. I don't think it's necessarily the deck itself, if that makes sense. Anyway, on to Crystron. I'm going to put Crystron in Tier 1 up there. The new Crystron deck is super strong. It's seen a lot of play recently because it's so cheap. It's one of the really cheap rogue meta deck at the moment, and I think it is just going to keep getting better and better. So for that reason, I'm putting it in at Tier 1. I think it's just because it's so consistent. It sets up a nice board, but it's also super interactive and fun to play. A lot of people are picking it up, but I am going to put it at the lower end of Tier 1 because I think that you really have to rely on other engines to make it a strong deck. I think these two decks here are strong on their own, whereas Crystron really relies on exterior help. Next, we've got the new Regenesis cards. I think the new Regenesis cards are good. Don't get me wrong. However, I don't think there are enough of them to make them good as pure. I think that they're very bricky when they're pure because of the fact that you've only got 6 starters. You've got your Bemidbar and the spell itself. Unless I'm missing anything. If I am missing anything, let me know. But I think that there's obviously the Torah as well. But okay, so there's 9 starters, fair enough. But I think that it could definitely be made more consistent or easier to play. That being said, Regenesis Kashtira is definitely a deck at the moment, and I think it is super strong. I think the Regenesis cards are really nice, but we're definitely just going to have to wait and see if they top more. They have been topping decently, but I think it is one of those decks that will get better with time, and I think that I'm not really sure where to put it, to be honest. I'm kind of bordering on Tier 2 Strong Contender. I think because of the fact that it's so easy to play, it sets up loads of stuff really quickly and easily off of one card, I am going to put it at the middle of Tier 2. Yeah, that feels right. Next, we're on to the new Gem Knight cards. Now, Gem Knight has been dead for ages, but it received some new support, new consistency, new searchers that have seemingly brought it back from the dead. I'm going to say I don't think it's that good. I think that it's basically become an overhyped OTK Go Second deck. I mean, if you look at the deck lists on Why Go Meta, it's basically pumped full of Go Second extenders. We got Droplet, we got Thrust, we got Lightning Storm. I think it's kind of a no-skill deck, to be honest. I think if you do well with Gem Knights, it's because of the Go Second cards that you're running, not because of the Gem Knight deck itself, and for that reason, I'm going to put it in good pilot behind Argo Stars. I think if you enjoy a Go Second strategy, Gem Knight is definitely for you because you will win with it. But I think that in the face of other meta decks, like Mitsurugi, like Fiendsmith that we haven't talked about yet, like Ryziel, Malice, you know, I think that it's just not as strong as any of these other decks that I've named because of the fact that it's reliant on going second. If they make you go first, you're not in a good spot, you know? So yeah, that's why I'm putting it in good pilot. Next we got Mermail. I haven't really seen any Mermail plays in quite a while. I will have to admit, I've played some of it last format, and my one interaction was D-Shifter, and then using Ice Jade, Gimmet, Aegin to stop their stuff being banished and playing around my D-Shifter, which was very annoying for the Dynamorphia player that I was. I think it's definitely a strong deck. It sets up Toad, but not anymore, I don't think, actually. Now that Bahamut's gone, I think that the hit to Bahamut really kind of nullified Mermail. I think they really lost a lot of their power. However, the engine itself is quite strong, so I am going to put it in strong contender, but behind Fire King, because Fire King has performed way better. Next, we have Whitewoods. Now, Whitewoods is always, I think, always an understated meta deck. It's always there. It's always in the background, and it's always doing really well. Whitewoods often has tops. It often has locals tops, YCS tops, and a lot of people kind of don't really talk about it. I think Whitewoods is probably one of the most powerful decks of all time. I'm going to say that just because of its recursion, its ability to keep going, the board it sets up. It's basically impervious to hand traps because no matter what you do, they will always have the thing that they're going to search anyway. That's the one thing I've learned with Whitewoods. Don't hand trap them because they're going to have the search anyway. So yeah, I think that for that reason, I am going to put Whitewoods in tier 1. I think that obviously it's nowhere near as strong as it was in peak Diabellstar days, but I think that it is a super strong deck and is really underestimated by a lot of players, which is why I'm putting it in tier 1. Next we have Blue Eyes, and this is Blue Eyes Primite specifically. I am going to put Blue Eyes Primite in absolute meta. The Primite cards are insane. The new Primite support that's coming out in Duelist Advance is even better, and I think that we are going to see a large insurgency of players playing this deck because it's such a cheap meta deck that is also so insane. And for that reason, I'm putting it in absolute meta. It's a deck that's able to consistently put up the same board, consistently play through hand traps, and really give expensive decks a run for their money. And that's what I love to see, is expensive decks getting shown up by less expensive ones. So for that reason, I'm putting it in absolute meta. Next, we got the Monarch stuff. I mean, I love Monarchs. I think that the new support is amazing, and I will no doubt be doing a deck profile on them at some point in the future, so stick around if you want to see that. But I am unfortunately putting it in Go Home. I think the new monster is good. The new traps are very good, but it just seems like one of those decks that if you hand trap it, it just dies, and you can't really do a whole lot to it. So I think it could definitely be a big meta counter. I think if I did a rogue tier list, it would probably go quite high, but because of the fact that these decks are just stronger, I am going to put it in Go Home for now. That being said, I'll wait and see what happens in the first few weeks of Duelist Advance release, and this might change for me, maybe even come up to strong contender. Who knows, but this is where I'm at the moment. Next, we got Fiendsmith Kashtira Bestial. Now, Fiendsmith Kashtira Bestial is an insane deck, man. It's so strong, and for that reason, I'm putting it in absolute meta. I think that it's so strong, it's so tried and tested, it will keep winning, as it has been until the format changes or it gets banned or whatever. It's just going to keep doing its thing, and I think that that's exactly what a deck needs to be in this section up here. I think that's exactly what a deck needs to be considered meta. So yeah, that's why we're putting Fiendsmith up here. I mean, obviously, like I said, you can argue your opinions in the comments, but this is just my opinions. Take them with a grain of salt. Next, we got the new Punk cards. I really like the new Punk support. I think that they are really fun. However, I don't think that they do much on their own. I think that Punk as a deck on its own is not the best at the moment. That being said, there are the new Psychic cards and lots of new combos for Punk, and the fact that the new cards are a really easy to make interrupt, as well as a quick search, a really good search that basically revolutionizes the consistency of the Punk deck. So for that reason, I am putting it in strong contender. Yeah, everything's going in strong contender. And I'm going to put it above Mermail for now, just because I think that the Punk cards are so strong, and it sets up stuff like Photon Lord, which is just an Omni Negate. It plays through Nib, you know, it's one of those decks that always comes back, and I'm really glad that it does, because I love Punk. Next, we got the Psychic cards. Don't really know much about them, but from what I've seen in replays on Edo Pro, you know, YouTube videos, it does seem like it dies pretty easily to hand traps, and the end board it sets up on its own isn't much. So I am going to put it in good pilot for now. I think that we are going to have to wait and see how it performs, but I think that if we contrast Art Magia with Psychic with the new Vanquish Soul stuff, it's nowhere near as good, which is why I'm putting it in good pilot. I think that it is definitely probably, well, no, it's not the worst, because I know what is the worst of the new support. I think it's one of the worst of the new support decks. Next, we've got Pure Primite. While Primite Blue Eyes is up there, I think that Primite on its own is a bit weaker because of the fact that it doesn't have the Blue Eyes cards, not in Tier 2. It doesn't have the Blue Eyes cards to kind of hold it up, so I think I am going to put it in Tier 1. And I'm just going to move Whitewoods up to here. Not there, there. But yeah, I think that Primite does belong in Tier 1. Obviously, it is super consistent, so that might change its placement a little bit, but I do think that Blue Eyes Primite is just a better deck, and that's why Primite is going in Tier 1. Next, we got Hungry Burger. Man, the new support is so good. We got searches for days, man. And that is lovely to see. The new Angry Burger card. Don't know if that's Duelist Advance or the set afterwards, but Angry Burger is a phenomenal card. Exactly what the deck needed to pick it up with its feet. It's way more consistent now. Does not struggle with the consistency issues anywhere at all anymore. But it's just not good, is it? I mean, I love Hungry Burger as much as the next guy. I think it's such a fun deck. It's such a great concept. I'm glad they made a meme card so good out of nowhere for no reason, and I'm really happy they did that. But I think it is a go-home deck, unfortunately. Definitely higher than the Monarchs, just because of the fact that the Interrupted does set up in Buela Beast and Bale Grill are good. I just don't think they're as good as they could be. Next, we got Malice. I mean, I don't think I even need to say where Malice is going. At top of absolute meta, obviously. Malice is an insane deck. It continues to be insane, and I think that it will stay that way until probably the K9 cards, to be honest, because Malice just... the new March Hare card is absolutely insane. Well, I say new, set old, but the new March Hare is an insane card. Malice is so consistent. The ban list did nothing to it. Well, yeah, it got hit, but you know what I mean. Like, it doesn't die to any deck, I don't think, and I think that that is what makes the deck so strong and so meta, and it just keeps winning tournaments. It keeps seeing mega top cuts, so I think there's no question about where it goes. Next we got Thunder Dragon. So a lot of people wouldn't have expected to see Thunder Dragon here, but I quite like Thunder Dragon. I've been looking at Thunder Dragon players online. I've seen some in recent tournament lists, and I think the Thunder Dragons are actually quite decent. Like, I think bordering on Rogue and Good Pilot, honestly. I think that the Thunder Dragon cards are really consistent. The end ball they set up is really great. Droll is a big thing against a lot of decks, and the fact that the Thunder Dragons set up 2 of them in their main combo. I do think Thunder Dragon dies to hand traps sometimes. However, the fact that even if you die to hand traps, you can just basically discard any Thunder off its effect, make Colossus pass, is super strong. So I think Thunder Dragon is sitting comfortably in Rogue, and I think that we might see some more of it in the coming formats. Now for Orcust. The new Orcust support is absolutely amazing. It's super strong, and I'm a really big fan of it. I think that it's really brought the deck up from what it used to be, and it's definitely exactly what the deck needed. I think not Tower of Babel, Orchestrated Babel is always going to be one of the strongest cards in the game. Just making all of the Orcus effects quick effect is absolutely insane, and I think that because of that card, as well as Harp Horror coming back and the new support, there's no way this deck is not tier 2 and probably higher than the Regenesis cards, to be honest. It's got loads of combo starters, loads of extenders. It's in such a good tight spot at the moment. Next we got Memento. I really like Memento, I have to admit. I think that, yes, it can be quite, I guess, not very fun to play against. It's got loads of extenders. Nothing matters to interrupt. Like, everything will always combo off no matter what. But the art style is really cool. It's inspired by the Mayans and the Aztecs, who are my favourite part of history, and for that reason it's going straight to the top of tier 1, and I don't care what anyone says. No, in all seriousness, I think that Memento is in a super strong spot and is a really strong meta contender. I think that Memento is like I said, nothing you matter interrupts. Everything extends, everything does everything in the deck. It's always searching, always doing its plays, no matter what you do to it. So that's why I think that it sits comfortably at the top of tier 1. I think it's vastly better than all of these decks, and I've put it in tier 1 for that reason. That being said, I do not think it's anywhere near as good as the absolute meta decks. I think that it would easily lose against these decks because these decks do so much more. And Memento, while being as amazing as I've just praised it for being, is not as good as these decks, which is why it's in tier 1. Maybe Blue Eyes. I might argue that I'm going to bring Blue Eyes down a little bit. I don't think it's as strong as the other picks. Next we got Super Quant. I think the new Super Quant support's really nice, really great for the deck, but it wasn't really on anyone's radar to begin with, and I don't think that's really changed. The support doesn't seem so strong to me. I could be completely wrong. I probably need to go read it properly, but from what I remember, I don't think the support was that strong, so I am going to put it in Good Pilot, but I'm going to put it above all of the other options because I'm pretty sure it's stronger than them. Yeah, cool art style, cool deck. Overall glad it got support because it definitely needed it. Next, we got the new Vanquish Soul stuff, and oh my lord, it is amazing. I mean, holy Sue, what a card, man. It does everything. Quick effect summons itself, then reveals the stuff. If you got Jarlong, that is game over for the opponent. Plays turn 0, it's phenomenal. I do really like the deck. I'm really glad it got support as well, especially with the new Canine stuff. It really sees a lot of combo, a lot of amazing plays, and I think that it is easily the best tiered deck at the moment. I think that it sits comfortably above Memento, but I don't think it's quite absolute meta yet. That being said, I think it might beat Blue Eyes. Do you know what? I am going to bring Blue Eyes down a bit, honestly. I'm going to put it there, I think. I think I was being a bit delusional when I put it so high. I did say my reasons, and I stand by what I said, but I think that Memento and Vanquish Soul are stronger than Blue Eyes Primite. And I mean, Vanquish Soul, if you need to see why, just go and watch some replays. It's an amazing deck, and the one issue it's had is consistency, but that's not a problem anymore. New spell, it got a new main deck card, Holy Sue. I was talking about brilliant cards, so I think it comfortably sits at tier 1 because of the fact it can add everything. It can stop your opponent attacking anything except Caesar Valius. It's got interrupts for everything. It's got pops. It's got negates. Tier 1 easily. Finally, we have Ryziel. Now, this is Ryziel Mitsurugi, Ryziel Fiendsmith. This is every variant of Ryziel because Ryziel is splashable in so many decks. That's kind of why I haven't put Heraldic Beast in this tier list as well, is I think Heraldic Beast is very reliant on Ryziel to run, and I think that it's easier to just put Ryziel in than it is Heraldic Beasts. Ryziel is just going to go straight up to absolute meta, because Ryziel is strong, has been strong since the start, and will remain strong until something big changes, because of the fact that everything is a starter, everything is an extender, everything goes into the Mitsurugi combo, everything can go into itself from any other engine. I think that Ryziel, Malice, Mitsurugi are some of the strongest decks we've ever seen, and I think that the only thing that might dethrone any of these decks are the new Canine cards or the Yummy cards that are coming in quite a while. But yeah, that is my tier list for Duelist Advance 2025. I think that, like I said, this could be completely wrong, but I think that I've definitely got a few things right here. Like, I think my tier 2 down is pretty good. My Super Quant is the only one I'm not sure about. I should probably do some more research on that. Maybe you'll see a video coming shortly. But I think the rest I've got really right. I think I've done a pretty good job at tier 1 and meta, but let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. As always, I have been Arlecchino, King of Cards. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more, and let me know what you want to see next. I've been Arlecchino, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.